Thank you so much for staying with us. This is the NBS Media Roundtable live from the Political Command Center. It's 11 after 8 o'clock, and we're talking about the big stories of the week. One of the big stories of the week was the Akon City, a futuristic city that is expected to cost, I don't know, they didn't give us the figures, but the Akon City in Senegal was looking at about 6 billion shillings. He's here on what State House described as a working visit. He's been meeting different heads of institutions and the big boys in government, including President Yoweri Museveni. He's been taken on a tour. He's been, he's met the Works Minister General Katumba Wamala, and of course we know Pablo Bashir has been the head of protocol there, taking him all around. So he's been all over here. But the biggest point here has been the incentives that government is giving to foreign investors, so to speak. Akon was given 1 square mile, but beyond just the Akon, we are talking about the incentives regimes that government gives to foreign investors to help support, establish business here, but also to grow the economy. And I think we broadened that conversation just beyond Akon. Several voices, my panelists, have been coming through. John Walugembe from the Small and Medium Enterprise Forum came out to say that government should stop, to say the least, babysitting investors. Morrison Rakakamba from the Uganda Investments Authority has been making a thread of tweets, and he's been very vocal that government is not only giving foreign investors, but also local investors. Sheila, let me start with your thoughts on the incentives government gives to foreign investors, tax holidays, land, all these things. Your thoughts?
Thank you so much, Solomon. And I don't know whether the incentives are given to foreign investors. I will speak now as an investor, maybe not as a journalist. Yes, okay. I am an investor in Uganda. Okay. So I think those incentives are not only given to foreign investors. When I was first told about the incentives available for investors, I did not believe it personally. So I did visit the Uganda Investment Authority. They have a one-stop, I think, hub. They call it a one-stop hub within the Uganda Investment Authority. And one of the things they told me is if I have a business above 180 million shillings, I can then register with Uganda Investment Authority. And then they had to take me, I had to ask, what do I benefit? And I was told I could be given land in the investment parks. I could do, if it is a farm you're setting up, if you needed bigger chunks of land, government has these lands. And actually the premium or what you have to pay on that land per year is so negligible. All they asked of me was, can you get us a business plan? And then proof of registration of your business. Of course, in that hub, everybody is seated there, including the Uganda Bureau of Registration of Companies, the Uganda Revenue Authority, National Water, Umeme. They are all in one space, just like this studio. And I was extremely impressed on what was available and what we as Ugandans did not know. Now, what happens, the foreign investors, when I'm going to another country, when I'm going to the United States or hibernating to another country, I will study about that country and know what it offers. And I think Uganda is one of those countries, now I'm not speaking as a spokesperson for the government, but from a point of knowledge, is one of the countries which has offered very lucrative terms for investing in this country. And maybe as Ugandans taking advantage of those incentives, we could either pull that 108 million if we could work together, because Indians are doing it. And they are taking our very own. You prepare food for your kids and then the neighbors' kids know that the food is sweet and your own kids think this food is horrible. So I didn't know all about this until somebody advised me, why don't you find out what Uganda Investment Authority has to offer? And this information, by the way, even it was online. So if somebody who has his money or her money is out there, they will know about what is available in Uganda, how they can get it, fly in here and take it just under our own nose.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, take advantage.
Becca, can I come to you shortly? Becca, your thoughts on the incentives government gives to foreign investors versus local investors?
This country is very interesting. I was reading a book 2 days ago about The Patient by Olive Komsinje yesterday. And she reminded me of a story we already know of. It's going to represent the picture of how foreign investments look like. The story of Lubowa Hospital. An investor comes in Uganda, investor in quotation, she's given land free of charge with premium of $100 every year, and given, lease for 99 years. Then she's given promissory notes by government to go and borrow. So what is she bringing? Because you are given government ensures, what are they called? Promissory notes. I don't know how to put it. So they give you things, you go to a borrower, and government guarantees that that money will be paid. So you ask yourself, what has the investor brought? Because land has been given for free, and government is also guaranteeing the money they are going to use. 317 million US dollars? So you ask yourself, what is it that this one has brought? And that has happened. Let me tell you, serious investors who have money, legit money, can't invest here. Most of the people you see who are bringing money here are quacks, people running away from, because the real ones, when they come and look at, they study the environment, they study the situation, no one will invest here. Let me give you an example. There, the Shimon land was initially going to be given to a Saudi, guy, billionaire. So he came here, he started the thing, he ran out. He said, Uganda is not a place where you can put money. All people who have genuine money, serious money, they are going to invest. They come here, they study the environment, they look at the politics, they look at the police on the street, they look at the army on the street. He said, this is not the place where you can invest your money. So majority of those we get are quacks from China, quacks from wherever, and their only thing is, so that's why they come, we give them land for free, then we also guarantee the money in the banks, and they come and then reap and go away.
Are you suggesting AKoin is a quack?
No, but I saw a story. I saw a story in the New York Times. The same city he promised to build in Senegal, he has not built. So why is it that you think Senegal is where he comes from? So you think he will fail to build a city in Senegal and then comes to build it here? But and interestingly, what is the most interesting is that when they come here, they go up to the highest echelon of our government. When they come straight away to the president, every transaction here that has cost us millions and billions of shillings starts and ends in the State House. President Seven accused Binaisa of turning State House into a clearing agent, a clearing house. I can tell me one transaction which doesn't start and end. And all those ones which have even gone bad, the one where we have lost billions of shillings, all start in Museveni's house and end there. When you go to parliament, they go and investigate. Finally, the person they will interview last is the president, because he has a hand in it. I think we should, yes, we want investment, and without a doubt, every country would need investment. Even in the US, I've seen one of the reasons Donald Trump, became president was he promised that he's going to make America great again. Because you find companies running away from America and having companies which are originated from America, they go and invest in China, they go and invest in Mexico, they go and invest in Canada, because it is hard to do business in America, and the regime in those countries is better than in their own country. So Trump came and said, I'm going to have a change of this, because there is no way you can take 100,000 jobs to China and everywhere. So there is no doubt every country would need investment. Unfortunately for us, if you do due diligence on people who finally get those deals, get free money.
You are aware that there are local and the foreign investors benefiting from the same.
No, if you did you get the land finally? Did you get the land?
I think I will get it.
You will. It is futuristic.
Because I know that there are so many investors we have as local investors, Ugandan investors, but many people do not take advantage. And by saying that all investors, from what I hear from you, are quack investors, I think that one is because there are investors actually who are reaping big. Who came?
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Investors worth the name. You see, let me repeat what I've said. Investors with genuine money, with a lot of money, who are bringing money here, many of them, when they come and study Uganda, they don't come back. Many of them who are risk takers. The person who can invest in Uganda now is really a risk taker. And let me tell you, you say, the reason I was asking you whether they have given you the land is because yours is futuristic. You might not get the land. You go to Namande, which was turned into, they call it what? Industrial park.
I get the land,
look at the buildings there. The other day I was passing, I was dodging that German passing there. There is land for sale, and go and study who got that land. Go and look critically who got that land. Many of them are people who are connected to who is who. Many of them, even these investors you are seeing, by the way, these investors you are seeing, and we've seen this, we have had Aya complaining, we have even financed that woman for Lvoa, they have complained. The dealers who will take them to see the president, who will take them to see these things. So many of them acquire that land, not through, there is no straight line. They will tell you that, yeah, we can give you land, but let me hope we'll come back and you tell me that you have got that land. But I can tell you, and finally, that many of the people who get these incentives are people, some of them, they don't even have money. They are just, they go get the land. Some of them end up putting it on sale. Like I have told you, I found a signpost that land for sale in Namande, and I was, my thinking was that all this land is government land that was given out to investors. So why are we having land for sale? You look at what has been there. Finally, you look at what has been put there. Showroom for cars, showroom for this, and where are these things manufactured from? So what kind of industry is that? So I think for me, we should really, really, really go back and examine whether what we are trying to do to attract investors is working.
Okay, thank you. I think you've made your case. Honor, I'm going to come to you and ask you, is government favoring foreign investors compared to local investors? There's this factory that was set up by an Indian in northern Uganda, and it's crushing cassava, and it's producing ethanol. I don't know if you've heard of it. So what happened is that investor came in, he's an Indian, and the NRM people were celebrating. We put up a very big factory. Along the line, it gets into a very big loan, and I just learned that government is injecting over 10 billion shillings from the Uganda Development Corporation to support it as part of a stimulus package, but to a foreign fund. Anyway, but your thoughts on is government over-incentivizing? Is government over-incentivizing?
That's why I wanted to
foreign
assure my
investors?
neighbor Bate that there are serious investors who have put money here, and I'm associated closely with one of them. So not all investors are unserious. But look, I think, yes, government is giving incentives to investors, both local and foreign. Of course, a company like Nile Breweries is both local and foreign. It has been here for decades, but it has foreign connections. So there are such companies also. One of the overrated incentives is actually land. And I think now when Akon comes, first I like Akon's music. I don't know about his business integrity. So when an investment like his comes up and there's so much talk about land, square mile or less, many people who have pegged their investments to land have obviously ended up not actually taking off, as Bate has rightly narrated. Because I would say there's no shortage of land in Uganda, so land is not the biggest issue of investing in Uganda. And it's not even money. Actually, the biggest factor is the market. And that's why most of these investments don't take off. They do not address the market that will consume their investment. So if you look at setting up a city, already in this city, there are a lot of buildings that are empty because of affordability. So it's all fine for AKoin or anybody to want to create a fancy city in Uganda, but for who? For which market? So that's what has let down a lot of foreign investments, fake or serious. They fail to look at the market factors. And that is rooted in the affordability, in the levels of income in the country. And actually, the government needs to work on that factor to make sure that whoever wants to invest here, you don't even have to tell them. Money follows money. Any serious investor knows where there is money, and they are looking at affordability. They don't have to wait for government to tell them to come. They will follow the money. So I think the biggest challenge is to make sure that the purchasing power of the country rises across the board. That's what investors will look for.
We've had investors, okay, I don't want to really boast about Rwanda, but we've seen big boys investing in Rwanda, and yet its market is just limited. Doesn't it also go to the factors of production?
I don't want to speak about Rwanda. I don't want to speak about Rwanda either, but I'm only saying, from what I know, because I'm associated with an investor, each time our global owners are thinking of expanding in Uganda, they are looking at the demand for our product. That's the main driver. They are not going to say, do we have land? So government's role is...
On a cost of production is important. Cost of doing business.
Of course, cost of doing business is important. But so long as you are able to drive volume, you are likely to be able to neutralize the costs. But if you have costs and then your final product is struggling in the market, that's the worst case you can have. So I think for government, the other factor is taxation. Because taxation is a big factor in what you are calling the cost of production. So if you have a friendly tax regime, it drives affordability.
Oh, no, we have given investors tax holidays. So many, by the way. We've gone into public-private investments like the...
No, I'm not saying it has not been given. I'm just highlighting it as the other factor. Because I don't want this fixation with the land. Whether AKoin has got so much land, I don't think it will be the most critical factor in determining is city taking off. The first thing is funders are going to ask is who are going to take the city housing you are going to build. If he assures them there are people already lining up to snap up the skyscrapers, you will get the money.
Okay.
You will get the money.
Gerard, is government benefiting from these local investors really?
So on this issue, I'm actually a little bit sympathetic with the government. Why? Because first of all, you have to understand that we are a developing country. So at the rate at which we attract FDIs is very lower compared to foreign direct investments, is very lower compared to maybe middle-income countries or developed countries. So what this means is that then the government of Uganda has to compete for these limited FDIs with other countries or other governments in the region. Now, we know that actually when you look at the cost of doing business, when you look at the easiness of setting up a business, Uganda ranks lower in the region compared, for example, to Rwanda, to Kenya. So,
I think it has really improved.
Yes, it has improved, but
with the one-stop center.
But still lower compared to some of our competing neighbors. So here's what I'm thinking. Therefore, what this means is that all these countries, actually, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, all the neighboring countries, Tanzania, they are giving incentives to foreigners who are willing to set up businesses in their countries. Now, if Uganda does not do it, if I'm an investor and I'm interested in setting up a factory here, if the government of Uganda does not give me incentives, I can go to Rwanda, set up a factory in Rwanda, and still sell goods in Uganda under this East African community, right? I can do the same thing, still sell goods in Kenya or Tanzania under the East African community framework. So, it means that, therefore, the government is in a catch-22 situation in which it has to offer incentives to foreigners, set up businesses here, set up factories here, and it tends to anger, of course, local business here who think that actually they are being neglected at the expense of foreign businesses. But another reason why I'm a bit sympathetic with the government, look, for a country to transform itself, there are two areas where it has to invest, two areas that tend to absorb huge amount of labor. Manufacturing is number one, service sector, number two. If we are not able to absorb our population in our service sector and our manufacturing sector, we can never ever transform into a middle class country. Part of it is because if you are employed in manufacturing, first of all, there are skills transfer that you get. Second, these are well-paying jobs that are easy, that people that are employed in such industries can easily actually transform their families from the situation they are in to a better status. Now, if you look at Uganda, I mean, that's why I'm saying I'm a bit sympathetic. Look at all these highways that we have, Kampala Guru, Kampala Mbarara, Kampala, wherever, Mitiana, wherever you are going across Mukono, you see a lot of these factories that are coming up, that are mushrooming. How are they getting here? Majority, of course, Chinese, European, a little bit from, some of them from Middle East that come set up these factories. But how are they getting here? It is because the government has to provide them incentives. And if the government doesn't, other governments in the region will do the same. So, now, does this really mean that there are no quack, or maybe some people who come and maybe get these incentives from the government but don't end up setting up factories? It happened. There are all those cases. I mean, when I was still working at Monitor and Alex, we used to write about the case of Kananathan, right? So those things happen. They are there. Not even Uganda, in all these other countries, they experience them, right? It's possible to provide incentives and seed factories don't take off. It happens. But these are very, very small cases compared to what happened. If you go to Uganda Investment Authority and you look at the number of people for FDIs that are registered in a year, those that take off and those that never take off, those that never take off are very few of them. But of course, all right. But of course, I understand that there is a clash here between giving incentives to foreigners set up factories here and neglecting local investors. That's, I think, the tension is. And for the government, it has basically to balance those two. And I think that's the balance that the government of Uganda hasn't come up at this point.
I think they think the foreign investors have more money. Alex, if you look at the National Development Plan for the, and now it has been raised to what, 2040. There is always those plans, 2040, there is all that. But one of the things that we'll be looking at is opening up more industrial parks, so to speak, to ensure that people come and set up shop here. And local manufacturers are saying, or local investors are saying, give us similar incentives, tax holidays, and everything so that we can start and power the economy, not only look at foreign investors. Your thoughts on whether government should really be focusing so much on foreign investors?
Yeah, well, I think panelist Shira's really well enumerated the kind of incentives that are available to both local and foreign investors at the Uganda Investment Authority. Now, it is a good thing for government to give incentives in all areas to attract investment and spur the economy. But I think the outcry, I wanted to say this, I think the outcry has not been that either give or don't give incentives, either to locals or to foreigners. But the outcry has been, and me, I'm a process person. I like the processes to be really tested and to things to go through a clear process. I think the outcry has been, then how do you do this? Why should Akon, who is going to build that magnificent city, be cleared through State House? I think
Baker raised that too.
Yeah. I think that is the problem. The problem is actually that if we have these institutions, we should allow them to to deal with these processes. We should allow the institutions to deal with these processes and then own either these successes or own the mistakes. But if the mistakes are going to be owned by State House, I think that there lies the problem.
I hear you.
And that's the reason why, for example, Bate is saying that some of the land, who gets access to that land, some people think that those are connected. People that are able to access the echelons of power can easily be given free land.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Alex is raising. The problem is not actually that the government, I think in this case, the problem is we need to have institutions in place, and the institution needs to be working. Not every investor should have to access the president in order to set up a manufacturing or a factory here. There should be institutions that are in place to do this kind of work, which should be Ghana Investment Authority. But why would, and that's why when there is a failure, people easily connected to the government because they see that for this factory, for this person to acquire land, he had to go through steps that involve the State House. So in this case, institutions are being undermined, you can argue, by the political elites.
I can't agree more, because if they say the head of state said, then that means you don't have a lot of control as an institution towards that local investor. All right, you're watching the NBS Media Roundtable. We take a break. When we return, curfew, is it still relevant? Stay with us.